Welcome to the Awakened Healer podcast. I'm your host, Mary Beth Vanderlinden. I'm an ordained Christian minister, international intuitive healer, healer trainer, speaker, and retreat facilitator. On the Awakened Healer podcast, myself and a wide variety of fascinating guests will share our gifts and divine experiences. I won't shy away from diving deep and asking big questions during these conversations. In turn, we will open up and share our deepest thoughts on spirituality, angels, intuitive development, crystals, healing of all kinds, and how bridging ancient wisdom with modern science can bring you to a deep and profound healing in every area of your life. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Awakened Healer. Today, we're going to be talking about the secrets of a lasting relationship with Eva Love. How appropriate is that? I love your last name, and you ended up being a relationship coach. That's great.
And it's my real
name. My best friend back years ago, decades and decades ago, her name was Darlene Love. And so it would sound like you were saying darling love. Yeah, so I had a love in my life years ago. Yeah, we both ended up moving from state to state to state, and through time we lost track of each other. But so let me tell everybody a little bit about you. You've actually been working in this field and working with clients for 29 years now, mostly single women, but also sometimes single men and couples, showing them how to have a loving relationship where the chemistry actually lasts a lifetime. Yes. I think that's a tip we'd all like to know. So yes. Let me ask you this. Let me tell them a little bit more about you. So in 1989, Eva had a profound spiritual experience where she was given techniques that transformed her life within 3 weeks. And Eva's life changed so dramatically that everyone around her wanted to have that same experience. And that launched her into teaching and working with clients, leaving her high-powered corporate position and using these tools that she attracted the love of her life with to share with others. And she's now been married 25 years. Congratulations on that. And her love miracle system has created extraordinary results. 87% of Eva's single clients are either married or in a committed relationship within 12 months. And in the last 29 years, Eva has worked with over 7,500 clients and students. So she has quite a resume there. Eva's marriage just really inspired people, and they kept asking her to teach the secrets. And why are her and her husband so close? And so to get along so well and to have that much fun together. And so people were really curious, how do you keep that spice in your life? Or how do you keep that romance alive? So in 2001, they launched a weekend retreat that they turned into an online program. And so we're going to just spend some time. We're going to talk to her. She's obviously an expert on relationships. And so I've gotten different questions that some of my students wanted to know the answers to. I asked them, what relationship questions would you have? And so Eva, tell us, what led you to this? What was the spiritual encounter that you had, and how did that end up leading you on this path in life?
Well, that's a good question, because what happened was I was not successful in relationships. I had been married twice, had 2 divorces, and I didn't believe in divorce. So I was, it was really hard for me.
Right.
And it was just devastating. And the second divorce was, I had married a man after my first husband had my children, and then I remarried. And this man, I walked in on him kicking and beating my 16-year-old daughter.
Oh my gosh.
And I had been beaten as a child, and I was just, I had sworn my children would never have to go through that. So I was just devastated. I it's like my whole world just, came out from under
I
me.
can imagine.
And they didn't tell me. I found out later as we were in counseling that he had been beating them the whole 4 years that we were
Oh, no.
married. And they didn't tell me because he said that if they said anything, that they would just get in trouble again.
Oh, wow.
So it just broke my heart that my children didn't trust me to come to me. And, it was just devastating. I mean, I just can't tell you, I just cried and cried and cried, and I couldn't get over it. And so one day, after about 6 months, I was so depressed and I was so miserable, and I just couldn't forgive myself. And I drove to the top of a mountain to drive off a cliff because I thought everybody would be happier without me, that I didn't deserve to live, that it was, I just was worthless. I just felt worthless. I felt like even God didn't want me.
Oh, my.
I was in bad shape. And so as I was driving down the hill, the mountain where I was going to drive off this 1,000-foot cliff, I heard this voice, and it said, "Eva, don't do this. You're sick. It's like you've got the flu. Stop the car." And
God.
man, I hadn't heard that voice in a long time. So I did stop the car. I'd been a race car driver, so I knew how to, take care of that. And I'm, very grateful for that message, because as soon as I woke up to what I'd almost done, then I was a hysterical mess,
Oh, I bet.
because I couldn't believe that I was so far gone that I was ready to kill myself.
Right.
But, it kind of woke me up, that whole incident, just like I went, oh my gosh. And so I went into therapy, and then I did all kinds of things to get myself squared away. Like I felt so lost and miserable, and I just didn't know how to heal myself. And so I started going to all kinds of workshops and therapists, and nothing was helping. Nothing was helping. And I was just so discouraged. I just felt, like I didn't know what to do. And after 3 years of that and spending thousands and thousands of dollars, one night I was just sitting in my living room, and I didn't know what else to do. My back was against the wall, and I felt like, nothing I'd done had helped, and I was just miserable. And so I just said, God, help me, just help me. And this light came into the living room, and this warmth, and this love. I mean, it was so, I'm just feeling it right now as I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It was so powerful. It was such an experience that had I not had it, I wouldn't believe it.
Right.
Like it was, like you hear about things like this, but then you go, yeah, well,
I had that happen when I was 5, and to this day, when I talk about it, I still get those same chills and feel that warm flowing going through my whole body.
Yeah,
you were saying, I got those same chills.
Yeah, it's just an amazing experience. So, it was late at night, and so I said, okay, God, what do you want me to do? And what I heard was go to bed. And I thought, that's exactly what I need to do. That's exactly what I need to go to bed, because I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I was very happy that I've had this peace, because for the first time in years, really first time ever, but I couldn't remember having had that kind of a peace. Like I knew everything was going to be all right.
Right.
And so the next morning when I got up, I started getting these tools, these techniques came to me. And as I started using them on myself, within 3 weeks, that's really all I did other than go to work. I just would come home and I would just use these tools on myself. And then what happened was my life changed. Everything.
Tools, people are probably thinking of like some mechanical thing. Are they like
No, they're techniques. They're
okay.
They're a series of questions that you ask yourself,
Okay.
and then you let your inner knowing answer the questions.
Very good.
Because you won't find the answers in your head. And so one of the things that I work with my clients on is how to get out of their head and listen to their inner inner voice, because everybody has an inner voice. They just don't hear it because the chatter in their brain is going so fast and so loud. And so, there's so much of it. And so we can't hear it. But when we absolutely stop that noise, when we get quiet and go inside. Now, some people use meditation to go inside and listen.
Right.
And I think meditation is a good tool, but there are other ways to do that without sitting
right
for a long time. There's other ways to access that. So, but I'm not discouraging meditation. I believe in it. I think it's good, and I do meditate.
Right.
But this is different than that. And then I teach them how to let what's coming, what needs to be healed to surface. And this is something that most of us push down, the wounds that we have, and the
That's so true.
We don't want to feel the pain.
Right.
And so we push it down and we judge ourselves for, maybe we've got, maybe we're critical of ourselves, or maybe we're jealous of someone, or there's some uncomfortable feeling, because all those anger and depression and all those things are uncomfortable. We don't want to feel them. And so when I teach you how to not judge yourself for whatever feelings you have, and stop thinking that you have to be positive all the time, because that whole positive mental attitude thing, I mean, it's better to have a positive mental attitude than a negative mental attitude. Right. But the truth is, if you have a negative mental attitude and you aren't aware of it, and you're not bringing it and acknowledge it, you can never deal with it. You can't get rid of something you don't own.
Right.
So you have to own it. So that's after you become aware of what it is, and to acknowledge, oh yeah, that's right, I have that. Then you can let go of it. Then you have the power to let go, and you can create, something really phenomenal in your life. And so I started first I started teaching. My roommate saw this tremendous change in me, and she said, Eva, what are you doing? Whatever you're doing, I want it, And she says, I'm going to invite a couple of girlfriends over on Saturday morning at 9:00, and you're going to teach us. And I was like, okay. And I was like, okay, God, if you want me to teach it, you're going to have to tell me what to say. So Saturday morning came, and I taught it, and these gals were just thrilled. And immediately my roommate started dating. She'd been divorced a year and hadn't had a date. And so she created having some dates. And that night she went to church, and a guy from church came over to her that she had seen every day for, I don't know, not every day, but every Sunday and every Wednesday night for 5 years. And that next day he approached her and asked her out. And then some other guys asked her out. Anyway, all of a sudden here she has all these dates. She's thrilled. And then my other one of the other gals called me, and she said, you've got to teach this, again this next weekend, because my cousin's got to come, and my best girlfriend's got to come, and and so pretty soon I was teaching every night of the week and every weekend.
Oh my gosh.
And I had private clients, because some people didn't want to come to a class. They wanted to work with me privately, because there was things that they didn't want to talk about. So I got so busy that I decided to quit my job, because this was so much more, and it was just bliss. This work for me has always just been bliss.
Because you found your calling, so it isn't work.
It was so fabulous. And so then what happened was, I noticed that these women were attracting really great guys. I mean, and the men were doing great things too. I mean, it wasn't just women, it was men and women. And one night after class, one of the gals in the class said, I'm having my new boyfriend pick me up so you can meet him, because I want to see what you think of him. And so he came to the door, and because I used to teach at my house, and I met him, and I saw the energy between them. I feel and see energy. So I could see this energy between them was just amazing. I mean, it was something like I had never had. I had never had that kind of a solid start of a relationship. And so I thought to myself after she left, I've always felt like after my last divorce that I would never marry again. I just decided that I was never going to marry again. And I thought, if I could have that, I would love to be married again.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, if I'm teaching her how to do this, why don't I just use my own tools and work with myself and create that? So I did. And then I met my husband, who is unlike anybody I'd ever dated before, completely different, and just the most amazing man, just absolutely the most amazing man.
That's one.
And
And I've
we've just,
seen pictures of the two of you together, and your energy is so meshed.
oh yeah, we are, people talk about a couple being joined at the hip. Well, we are, but we're not smothering each other. We give each other a lot of space to be fully ourselves. And I think that's one of the reasons why our relationship is so strong.
Right.
There's a whole lesson that I teach on that, how to give space so that you're still connected, but you're not overwhelming the other person or dominating the other person, because that's one of the things that kills a relationship, is when one person's energy is bigger and more more dominant,
Right. Or
and
one
then
person
the other person has
control
to get
really.
smaller. The other person has to get smaller in order to continue in that relationship, because there's this much space in your relationship. Let's say 100% is this total space in the relationship. Well, if one person is 40%, the other person's 40%, then that leaves you 20% of space to be able to be in orb with each other.
Right.
I don't know if you know Buckminster Fuller, but he has a theory about that if two bodies are in motion, that if one of them takes up too much of the space, then it will diminish the other body.
Right.
Well, if you apply that to relationships, because immediately I saw that's a relationship issue. And so my husband and I are very what I call equally yoked. It's a term from the Bible.
Right.
And it's something that I teach my clients, is that if you're making excuses for the man that you're with, or your husband, and you're not equally yoked.
That was
And
one of the questions that I had was, do you think it's possible for a relationship to last when there's no spiritual connection within that relationship?
Well, that's a good question. I think that spiritual connection really strengthens a relationship, but I think you can have a solid relationship as long as you have. There's a few things that you have to have in order for a relationship to last. The main one is you have to have respect for each other.
That's the exact word that I was going to say.
Yeah, you have to have respect, because where there's no respect, love dies. Love has to have the soil of respect to grow in. And so if you don't respect your husband or your boyfriend, or he doesn't respect you, then you're probably not going to have a successful relationship. You might stay,
right,
but if you stay, you'll probably be miserable. And so you can build respect. I have tools for building respect, but it takes time. It's not something that's an instant thing, but it can happen.
Okay.
So all is not lost if you don't have it, or if your partner doesn't have it. You can build it. But the other thing that's one of the other keys is shared values. Now, a lot of times couples will enjoy the same things, like they'll enjoy the same kind of movies or the same kind of, activities, and they build a relationship on that, and that's not enough. It's nice that you have shared interests, but shared interests alone won't do it. It has to be shared values,
right,
and you have to have that respect.
Mm-hmm.
So those are two of the things that are key for having a lasting relationship.
So,
and yes, go ahead.
Another question that came up a lot was, how do you know that you have found the one?
Well, the number one way for a woman to know if she's found the one is that he responds to her. If your boyfriend is not responding to you, if you let your boyfriend know that something would make you happy, that you would love something, and that and he doesn't do that for you, he doesn't get that for you, then he's probably not the right guy.
Right. Don't you think that that comes back to respect? If you
Well,
really
I'll tell you what
love
it comes
somebody
back to.
and you know that there's something that they really desire, if you really respected them and respected, their wants and desires, you would want to, if it was possible, too.
Yeah. Here's the thing with men. Men, a healthy man wants to make his woman happy. That's his greatest joy, is for her to be happy. Now, if you don't have a healthy man, if you have a narcissist or a sociopath, or somebody has a personality disorder of some kind, they're schizophrenic, or they have some mental issues,
Mhm.
or they're an addict, they have an addiction, then all that goes away. And so if you are in a relationship with someone like that, it doesn't mean that they can't change. It doesn't mean that they can't become a good partner. My father-in-law was a paranoid schizophrenic, but he took medication,
Mhm.
and he was a good man, and he was a loving father, and he was a good husband, and he just passed away a couple of months ago at 92 years old.
Oh.
And he was a lovely man. Now, um, on the other hand, my husband's brother also was paranoid schizophrenic. He did not take medication, and he, has just been miserable,
Right.
and made a lot of people miserable. And I understand he's married now. We don't have contact with him because of a lot of stuff that happened, and we just, if you I don't know if you know about the scorpion and the frog, the story of the scorpion and the frog, where the scorpion comes up to Mr. Frog and says, Mr. Frog, take me across the lake. I promise I won't sting you. And the frog says, oh, no, you'll sting me.
Yeah.
And he goes, no, I promise. And he keeps on. And finally, the scorpion convinces the frog that he won't sting him. And they get about halfway across the lake, and he stings him. They're both going down. And he goes, Mr. Scorpion, why did you sting me? And he goes, because I'm a scorpion, and that's what I do.
That's what I do. Right.
So when you know you're dealing with a scorpion, you just have to, separate yourself from them, because they can't help themselves. And, when somebody's not willing to first admit that they have an issue and then deal with it, then there's nothing you can do about it. You have to just allow them to go their way and wish them well. So we blessed him and wished him well, and sent him on his way. I don't hold any ill toward him.
Right.
I've forgiven him for all the things he did, but I don't want to be around
I
him.
understand
So
that completely. I have family members that, they burned you over and over and over and over.
yeah,
It just was
yeah,
like, okay, enough is enough. Like,
that's
people can
right.
hurt me and I'll, pretty much
Yeah,
step it up or whatever. Hurt my kids, hurt my grandkids, you're done. I'm done. That's the end of that. Yeah.
I feel the same way. I feel like when someone does something to hurt me, first of all, I believe in karma.
Mhm.
I believe that there's a higher justice, and that when someone does something bad to me, that karma will settle the score. I don't need to.
And I think, like, you can forgive them, you can send them
Yeah,
love, but it's like, keep your distance.
yeah, yeah. So I don't want anything to do with them.
Right, right. So
Yeah, I'm not interested
what
in
are
that. But
your thoughts on all this internet dating that's so prevalent today? Is that affected by these tools or processes that you like give to people? Can you use that in the same way?
the way I see internet dating is that it's just another vehicle. There's lots of vehicles for meeting someone. It used to be that how you met someone was either, at work, or out when you were out partying with your friends, or with, at family gatherings, somebody would bring someone and you'd meet them that way, or you'd be set up on a date by a, mutual friend. That was mostly the way
Right.
dating went. Every once in a while, someone would hire a yenta or a matchmaker, but you know,
Yeah.
those were not very many people did that. So then the online dating came, and actually my niece married her husband, who's a wonderful man. Oh my gosh, this guy is just amazing.
My cousin
And
too. That's how she found her husband.
yeah, and so I don't have any ill toward it. It's just that if you have to know what to do and how to deal with it, and the thing is, with a lot of women, they hate this online dating. They hate meeting new people because they have so much attachment to the outcome. And so what I teach my clients to do is how to let go of the attachment so that they can have fun dating, so they can go out and it's okay whether the date works out or it's okay if it doesn't work out. It's not a reflection of them. It's just a reflection of this didn't work. This worked, this didn't work, The switch is on, the switch is off.
Yeah, it takes like a long time to find a pair of shoes that's comfortable and really fits. You
Yeah.
Keep trying on and trying on and everything.
Yeah.
But people, a lot of times they get too involved right away with the person.
Yes. And so,
Yeah.
so one of the things that I teach my clients is how to be the objective observer. So what a lot of women do, and men do this too, but it's really a characteristic of women, is that they project onto the person they're dating what they want them to be, rather than if it's there or not.
Right.
So, and I know I used to do this too. I had my list, and when I would go out with a guy, I would start checking things off the list. And sometimes I would check things off that weren't really there because I was seeing them because I wanted them to be there.
Right.
And I wasn't observing. Well, when I learned how to step back and just observe and not adjust myself to accommodate the relationship, but just to be myself. And I remember when I met my husband, I thought, I'm just going to be myself, and he's going to like me or he's not. And it's okay either way, because I just want a real relationship. And so he kept responding to me. I mean, everything I wanted, he responded. Every desire of my heart, he responded. Everything. I mean, it was just amazing. And I realized that there really is something here. I felt all this energy,
Yeah.
but I just kept having to let go of the attachment, because that kills relationships. What happens when you become attached is you push the relationship away because you become too needy.
Too needy.
And
Yeah.
a healthy man doesn't like a needy woman. Now, a man that wants to dominate you wants a needy woman.
Right.
So if you want to be in a relationship with a man who is going to control you, then be a needy woman. Or if you're a man who wants to be controlled by a woman, be a needy man, because you'll find a very powerful, strong woman who will see you and go, oh, I can control this guy.
Yeah.
I'll marry him, because that's what a lot of women do. They marry somebody they can control. And it doesn't mean that those relationships don't last. They aren't usually healthy.
Right.
Because lasting and being healthy are two different things. Because you can put up with, put up with
Yeah.
a lot, and you can make excuses, and you can say, well, he's a good man, blah blah blah. But if you don't have that love and respect, and if you don't have that shared values, my husband and I've been through a lot together. We've had a lot of things go on in our lives, and business failures and deaths in our family, and the situation with his brother. And anyway, there's been a lot of stuff go on, and through it all, my husband and I always put our relationship first.
Very good. Yeah. Is that your number one tip then? Is that people
Yes,
should always put their relationship first. Like, what is for the highest good of this relationship? And
that's
if
right.
it didn't, then that had to just be let go of.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And because you know, what happens is when you get under pressure, whether it's money pressure or work pressure or, you know, family pressure, whatever pressure is, what happens is that brings out the worst in you. And so often what happens is we get critical of our mate. And when you start criticizing your mate, you start killing their relationship. So the one thing you want to do is to talk about the things that bother you, but talk about them in a way where you're on their side. Because if you don't understand where they're coming from and you're being critical, you're killing your relationship. I always say that everything you say and everything you do is either building your relationship up or it's tearing it down.
Down, exactly. Well, Ava, you have given us so many, great tips and like really great information. Is there one final tip that you would say is the number one place for people to start if they're looking for a relationship?
Well, I'll tell you what I would do. I would send them to I have a free gift for them.
Very good.
And it's called the 10 myths that single women have about men and how to bust them. And even if you're not single, these myths are ones that women, married women or women in relationship also have. And busting these relationships is the beginning of the process for clearing out the the blocks that are stopping you, that keep you from communicating or keep you from having that closeness that you're looking for.
And where can we
And
go to get this gift?
so what you're going to do is you're going to go to Eva Love, EVALOVE.net, NET / awakened healer,
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Yeah, awakened healer. Oh,
because it's going to be it's for your audience, and so it's the awakened healer audience.
very good. So everybody, did you get that information? evalove.net / awakened healer. And that will be in the show notes. Eva, can you also give us your website?
Yes, it's evalove.net.
.net. Okay.
Yes.
Very good. Well, Eva, I thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you'll come back. I'm sure you have more juicy tips for us.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what, Mary Beth, I would love to come back. I absolutely adore you, and I think what you're doing is so important. And I love your show, and I love just your energy. You just have this beautiful, sweet energy that's just delightful to be around.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And thank you to our audience for joining us for this episode. And again, all the links, all the information we've given will be in the show notes. So have a wonderful day. Be blessed. Thank you for joining me on the Awakened Healer podcast. Did you enjoy the show? If yes, please subscribe and give me 5 on a review, that is, on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Leave a review or your comments and let me know what you loved or would love to learn about on future shows. We all need encouragement, including me. Find out more information on my website at spiritledhealinginstitute.com. Be blessed, and remember, if you're good with you and good with God, you're good.